right? In New York, a nursing salary, they start with about $85,000. They get to bring their whole family. So it's not just that nurse's salary that's sending home. Now, we figured, well, are there problems with credentialing? Is it an issue that nurses who come to New York don't have the right education, the right courses? And to our surprise, we actually found out that that wasn't a major problem. That most of your nursing schools here, most of them produce nurses, and they have the proper curriculum, and all they have to do is...
Our main mission was to bring Pakistani Americans to the political process, because we are very successful in America, but not successful in politics. So that's what we were doing. Also, we want to bridge relations between Pakistan and the United States. So whenever, as you pointed out earlier, that there is a federal government-to-government relations up and down, and there is geopolitical situation always affecting us. So we had reached out to our friend and mentor, Deputy Speaker of New York State Assembly, Phil Ramos, so who advised that we should probably do that at state level. So we came back in October, and thanks to Phil Ramos, this is his second trip in 8 months. In October, November, when we came, we met different people, and then we decided to do with our APPAC delegation. We went back, and the New York State Assembly passed a resolution, which is the intention to work with both provinces. So a resolution was passed, and now we came back, and now we went to Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, and now in Islamabad, meeting different departments and ministers, and consolidating whatever vision we thought about it. I'm going to ask Phil to talk about this a little bit more. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming and giving us opportunity. And thank you, especially Afzal.
To your club, still working. Thank you for welcoming me into your club, and for that celebration outside of our 4th of July, which signifies the independence of our country. And that independence, that 4th of July, represents freedom. It represents freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and one of the most important is freedom of the press. Because I know that you all stand for that, and the press throughout the world is the conscience of every society. You are the conscience of every society. You're the one that holds us, government, accountable. You're the ones who protect your citizens of your respective country. So I want to thank you, and I tell you, I applaud your work throughout the world and your suffrage as well. I know that work, good work, has come with sacrifice. This is the culmination, and not really the culmination, but one stage of the culmination of work that's taken over a decade. Approximately a decade ago, the vision of Dr. Ahmed to create an organization that would help Pakistani Americans, and as well help Pakistan, the country that witnessed their birth. And they tried to figure out how can we do this? And a group of prominent Pakistani Muslims from the United States got together, and we met at that time and helped organize, and we started talking about how to reach our goals. And I remember the discussion was that you can't just form an organization and now that organization is going to have influence over U.S. policy or Pakistani policy, but then you have to do your homework. You're going to have to work to build this organization to the point where they have the power to really influence some positive change. So they set out to do that. And few organizations have I ever seen that have over a decade methodically, state by state, created chapters, state by state, engaged their elected officials, state by state, even raised money and been responsible for elected officials getting elected at all levels, including making a Muslim Supreme Court judge, federal judge in the United States as a result of this organization. All those years of work got to the point where recently they were ready for prime time. They were ready to come down and make a difference. My suggestion was realizing the fact that the relationship between the United States and Pakistan has been one where Pakistan has been a great friend, has helped us many times, but sometimes because of geopolitics, things happening in the region, sometimes the United States would come and ask something of Pakistan that was difficult politically to deliver. And then the relationship would sour, and it would be on and off again, and that would affect other things. That would affect the amount of people immigrating, that would affect confidence, lack of confidence in trade or investments. It had, a lot of negative effects. So we came up with the idea that, and this idea was based on a constitutional right. Remember, United States, every state used to be a country. Before we formed the United States, New York was a country with its own executive, that was the governor, with its own Congress, with its own Senate. And when they decided to unite all these countries that were states, they agreed that we would unite only on the condition that we retain sovereignty to be able to negotiate trade deals, to be able to deal with other countries, and to be able to reach agreements. And that today exists, that right. So the idea was to come down with New York State to pass a sister state resolution which declares New York State's desire to do business and to have cooperation with Pakistan. Now realize that the budget of New York State is approximately the same size as the budget of all of Pakistan. So we identified the areas of education, economic development, and health. And we came down here and we started planting the seeds of this idea. That this was last October. We came here and we started speaking to your officials, speaking about this idea of state to state. Because the idea was that if we can be successful in creating this relationship and creating trade and create educational exchanges and work on these different things, that if we could be successful, then we could replicate this in every state. Could you imagine if our budget is equal, one state is equal to that of Pakistan, could you imagine 50 states all doing business with Pakistan, all purchasing from Pakistan, all receiving nurses and pharmacists from Pakistan, and making agreements on education with Pakistan? The impact would be monumental on your country and on ours. Now, we're not here talking about what the United States is going to do for you. We're talking about what we're doing for each other. We receive the same benefit. So after that, we found, it was my first time in Pakistan here. When I came here, what I found was a country of lovers of freedom. What I found was people receptive to the idea who wanted to improve their quality of life. And regardless of what we see in the news and the conflicts in the area, people to people loved each other and wanted to have a better relationship. And so we sought out to find a way that we can get people to people to deal with each other and benefit each other. So after that trip, after finding out the reception and the fact that your elected officials had a desire for this, we went back to New York State and we rolled up our sleeves, and then we did what was historic. We passed the first sister state resolution with Pakistan in New York State. And then we started getting the entities together. We found out that New York State has a shortage of nurses, a severe shortage of nurses. And we found out that Pakistan produces many nurses. And there are countries in the world like the Philippines that their main national product, export, is nurses. That's what stimulates their economy. The Philippines, wherever in the world you go to a hospital, you're going to see Filipino nurses. I'm sure they're here too. And this has become an economic developer. And using their model, I checked out Pakistan, and I found out that very few nurses immigrate to the United States, and that there's many more visas than nurses are immigrating. Schools here do need to beef up their curriculum with English especially, and in order to get them up to speed. And we have been in communication with them, with our education department. We have connected your nursing schools with our hospitals. We have connected agencies that recruit nurses here with our authorities in New York. And they have to go back to New York several times a year for medical treatment because their government insurance doesn't cover them. We're starting a conversation to see if a pilot program can be created where their medical coverage can be paid for here. It saves the taxpayer. It takes our taxpayer in New York a lot of money because your medical treatment is a fraction of what we charge over there. So it helps Americans by doing that. And at the same time, it gives you yet another infusion of cash and dollars, American dollars, into your country. So these are just a few of the areas in which we decided to cooperate. There's much more to come. We want to bring our countries together. And, you know, what I mentioned before about the geopolitics getting involved, because wars in the region or things in the United States, you know, sometimes our government change, relations are good, depending on what president is there and what's going on. And could you imagine how this will influence geopolitics in a way? Because if there are elected officials at the federal level at a position where the relationship is getting bad and they're calling for sanctions or something and we have established it, you're going to have 50 states saying, hold on a second, find a solution. We're depending on Pakistan because we're trading with them. We're depending on Pakistan because we have their nurses. We're depending on them because our children love your children. So find a solution at the federal level. Find a solution. And I think this is a way that we can calm down sometimes tensions. We can improve the quality of life for both our citizens. And in the end, this whole project is summed up in several words. And I would say those words are New York and Pakistan Zindabad. Helping Pakistan and helping our state. Assemblyman Alec Brook Krasny.
Good evening. First of all, thank you so very much for such effort. I can do without a mic. Okay. Thank you so very much for so wonderful, wonderful reception.
Thank you.
Christian, without you, I won't be able to talk. Reception is wonderful, beautiful. I hope that we'll have the same reception from American journalists when we come back. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Everybody. Because yes, America is a beacon of freedom, but, and I have to talk to you like a person who's been having a different experiences in this life, including experience of living in the former Soviet Union for about 30 years. For 35 years, I'm in America, for more than 35. You have a monument here dedicated to the people who sacrificed their life for the freedom of speech, who sacrificed their life for letting the society know what is really going on in this society, and especially what's going on in the elites of the society. Because in the Soviet Union, we had a situation where the society, the average person, wouldn't even know what's going on. It led to the dismantling of that country called Soviet Union. And yes, today, again, without going into details, I can tell you that in the Russian Federation, there is not much of a freedom of the press right now. And yes, there are some people who are sacrificing their lives in order for the society to know what is really going on. So the role of the press in this society is absolutely crucial. And what you're doing in your capacities as a journalist is extremely important, not only to Pakistan, but it's important for the rest of the world. So I want you to put your hands together for yourself. Because what you're doing, sometimes I know you work 24 hours, you're sacrificing. I want you to be alive and healthy for another 100 years, but sometimes some people even sacrifice their lives for the freedom of press. So what you're doing is extremely important. Let me tell you why I'm here in Pakistan. First of all, it's my honor to be a part of this delegation, because it's the first Russian-speaking elected official in the United States. I've been participating in many different delegations. many different delegations in many parts of the world. This delegation is going to deliver tangible results. It's not going to be just a symbolic conversations between the people and the government. It's going to be a delegation that will achieve tangible results. Now, those tangible results will be very important, not only for Pakistan and not only for the United States, but the whole situation in the world, because today, you know better than me, you're writing about it, we have a lot of problems around the world. We have a lot of situations where people just cannot understand each other. They have a lack of communication. Why? That's a different conversation. But this delegation is speaking a very understandable language. We're all ambassadors of peace, and we're all ambassadors of deliverance, something tangible that we want to bring to Pakistan and to the United States. I have a personal interest in this because I'm representing the biggest Pakistani American community in any district in the United States. We call it Little Pakistan. So by 20%, because elected officials, they are what their districts are about. By 20% I'm a Pakistani. And that's the only way I can represent this community in a democratic society and be trustful. We have a great Pakistani American community in the United States of America. And when people here or there are talking about perception of Pakistan, I honestly don't understand why. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Because when I'm talking to the Pakistani Americans in my district, when I'm talking to Pakistani people in this country, I see people always with a great smile, and what do they do when you're meeting them first? They're putting their hand on their heart. If everybody in this world, especially people in the government, especially people who taking care of the peace or war in this world, would do that first when they see each other, I guarantee you, the world will be much better place to live. Much better place. So perception might be still there. And we're all realists. We elected officials were representing a lot of people. You journalists, you're writing about the society. You know that, yes, sometimes tension is there. We have to be realists. Tension is there because people looking at each other and see us and them. High integrity and high intellect. APPAC is the organization that representing Pakistan, United States of America, in the best possible way. And I'm not saying it because I'm here in Pakistan. I'm saying it because I know I've been myself a founder of the same kind of organization for the Russian-speaking community in New York. APPAC is going so fast with what they're doing. Truly, within 7.5 short years, for politics is really nothing. For representing the community, it's very short period of time. They've done so much for their community and for this country. And when I see them, I see real Pakistan and real Pakistani American community. Highly intellectual, highly people with high integrity, great people whom I have a pleasure talking to and dealing with. So let me assure you, there might be some perception today. Because there is a lack of knowledge. There is a lack of knowledge of Pakistan and Pakistani people. But you'll see, in about 10, 15 15 years, Pakistan will be one of the great countries in the world, and the Pakistani-American community will become a part of the American society that's going to be electing judges, elected officials. And I know that in my case, I'm just warming my seat for now, for some young Pakistani-American in my nation. Thank you.